we're gonna set up for a nice supported child's pose. And we'll be there for a few more moments than what we normally are as we shift into this grounding practice. So, a couple options. You could place a blanket underneath your knees. You could, if you have a bolster or a nice fluffy pillow, or maybe a couple pillows to stack on top of one another, you could place your bolster right in front of you. And if you don't have blocks, that's okay. You could use your blankets or your bolster, and you might take your knees as wide as the mat, and then with your blanket or your bolster or pillows in front of you, you could start to find yourself forward and rest right here. Another option, if you have blocks, is to place one block, 2 blocks right underneath your bolster. I like to put one long ways, and then on the lowest setting, and then medium setting. However, if you need it higher, you can also go medium setting, high setting. So there's lots of options here. And with your bolster or pillows resting on top of your blocks, you could come forward, finding your way down onto this nice supported shape in our supported child's pose. And as always, if you'd like to place a blanket behind your hips and your lower back, maybe even tucking you in, feeling nice and cocooned and supported, that is also an option. And if this child's pose doesn't feel supportive to you, then I invite you to find any other shape that does. And we'll be here for about 10 breaths. As you allow your breaths to come in easily, taking your time. You might begin to allow your weight to truly sink into the support, whether it's just the floor beneath you or a bolster or a pillow or anything else. Beginning to allow your weight to come forward. Can you trust what is in front of you to truly hold you? Bringing to mind the affirmation we've been working with. I give myself permission to do less. This practice is not about overexerting yourself or doing what you think you should do or what you've been told to do. This practice is for connection. Connecting with yourself. Connecting with your body. And you are the only one who knows what that looks like for you, what that feels like for you. You might scan through the body and notice if there's any muscle, any area that is still holding tension, maybe not fully trusting that what is beneath you will support you. And if you're not ready to trust, that's okay. You don't have to. You can move at your own pace. However, if you are curious to trust, you might start to just slowly release the muscles down. Maybe noticing the support beneath you. Letting go just a little bit more if it feels safe. We'll take our last couple breaths here in the supported child's pose. However, if this feels particularly welcome to you, you could choose to stay here longer. You don't have to leave this shape if you're not ready to. And with your next inhale, if you are ready to leave this shape, you might begin to place your hands on the floor and press yourself up. Taking your time, there's no rush. Pausing here for a moment. If you're already set up here with pillows and blankets and blocks, you could leave your setup as it is, and we'll simply bring our legs out from underneath us. Give them a little stretch, maybe point and flex the toes, especially if your circulation needs some movement. And two options here. You might decide to take a nice wide shape here with your legs. And you could take them as wide as you want. You could take them as wide as the mat. It's totally up to you. We'll be taking a forward fold. And if having both legs out in front of you does not feel welcome, that's okay. Maybe you take one in toward you. I'll take my left foot in. So I'm coming here and then one leg out in front of me. So what that would look like is one leg in toward you, one leg making its way out. And if you have your left leg in and your right leg extended out, you don't have to have your right leg totally straight out in front of you unless you want to. You could allow it to veer out to the right as much or as little as you desire. So with that, it's kind of like a wide Janu Shirshasana, a wide extended leg shape. And you might decide to breathe in. And as you exhale, starting to make your way forward, if you need to move your blocks or your props closer to you, you could start to ease those forward and lean into them. And so this could look like anything you want. I here have my arms resting on the bolster in front of me. You could also choose to have them resting down at your sides. You could also choose to simply rest your forearms on the bolster. Or if the bolster and pillows or anything like that is non-existent for you today in your practice, you might simply place your hands on the floor, supporting yourself. So whatever this looks like for you, I welcome you to start sinking in. If you have one leg in and one leg out, I'll let you know when we're halfway and you can switch out your legs. Noticing here if there's any adjustments that need to be made so that you can be as supported as possible. Perhaps softening into the support in front of you, as we'll be on this side for the next 8 to 10 breaths. Perhaps noticing your breath moving in and out. Not doing anything to change it, just simply noticing. Can you give yourself permission to do less? Can you give yourself permission to explore what it would be like to let your weight be held for you by the earth beneath you and the props? As we take our last few breaths on this side. If you'd like to stay on this side longer, you can. If you're ready to switch sides, switch your legs out, you could place your hands on the floor, begin to press into the palms, and slowly, gently find your way up and out. Perhaps taking just a moment in between. Noticing any effects of that shape so far. And if you are ready to switch out the legs, you could even scoop up underneath your extended leg, underneath your knee, and use your hand to draw it in, giving it some support. Extend your left leg or the opposite leg and draw the right knee in. The right foot in. If you had both legs extended prior, you could continue to stay in this shape, or if you prefer, you might cross your legs in front of you, sitting crisscross applesauce, and take a forward fold this way, if you're ready to draw your legs in. So whatever you decide, I welcome you to take a breath in. And then as you exhale, you could begin to find your forward fold as it feels right to you. And Noticing here, if your head is facing the same way as it was previously, and if so, you might explore turning your head the opposite way. As we're here for another 8 to 10 breaths. Adjusting anything that needs to be adjusted. Returning to easing in to the support. You are supported and held in this moment. I am here holding space for you. And the props and the earth are here to support your weight. Can you give yourself permission to do less? Even in this moment, doing less physically. As your body can soften, can release. You might notice with these last few breaths, anywhere else that might be holding tension, maybe your shoulders, maybe your jaw. Perhaps you release, even if just for a moment. And as we begin to finish up on this side, you can decide to stay longer. The choice is yours. This is your practice. What does your body need? Would it like to stay here in this shape longer? Or if you're ready to leave, you could place your palms on the floor, press into them, and find your way up. One breath in between. You might scoop up underneath your extended knee and use your hand to draw it in.